Praise the Lord! Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a truly incredible historical account. We're diving deep into this intensely compelling personal story of a young guy who navigates some unbelievable highs and absolutely devastating lows. I mean, we're talking about facing impossible odds, holding onto your character when literally everything is on the line, and dealing with some seriously intense, unfair setbacks. Now, the story of Joseph might be ancient, but as we go through this together, you're going to see just how remarkably modern and totally applicable it is to our everyday lives.
To keep things off, let's ground ourselves right here in this ancient text. In Genesis chapter 39, the scene opens with Joseph being brought down to Egypt. And spoiler alert, he's not there on vacation. He's actually been sold by his own brothers to a group of Ishmaelites who then drag him to Egypt as a slave. He gets purchased by Potiphar, this really powerful Egyptian officer, who's the captain of Pharaoh's guard. So think about this. Joseph has literally been stripped of his family, his identity, and his freedom. He is completely, utterly isolated in a totally foreign land.
Section 1. From Slave to CEO. The Rise of Joseph in Egypt.
Imagine starting a new job, right? But you aren't just the intern at the absolute bottom of the corporate ladder. You have zero rights, no salary whatsoever, and absolutely no way to quit. That is Joseph's starting position in Potiphar's house. It's literally the lowest possible tier you can imagine. But notice this repeating thematic anchor here. The Lord was with Joseph. The text explicitly tells us that despite his enslaved, seemingly hopeless status, he became wildly successful. His master Potiphar actually saw that the Lord was with him and that divine favor was causing absolutely everything he touched to just succeed. It's such a powerful reminder for us that true success, it isn't always dictated by your starting position or your resources.
Just look at how incredibly fast things changed for this guy. First, Joseph finds favor in Potiphar's sight. Then he's made overseer of the house. Next thing you know, he is put in charge of literally everything Potiphar had. The house, the field, the entire estate. It's basically the equivalent of a massive corporate conglomerate naming their newest intern as the global CEO in record time. Potiphar trusts him so much that the text notes he left all he had in Joseph's charge. I mean, the boss was so confident in Joseph's management skills that his only daily concern was literally just deciding what he wanted to eat for lunch. That's it.
Section 2. The Ultimate Workplace Trap. A dangerous proposition. Now, as we all know, with great success often comes some intense, unwanted pressure. The text makes a point to note that Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. So he's young, he's highly successful, he essentially runs this entire massive estate, and suddenly he catches the eye of the absolute wrong person, his boss's wife. What we're looking at here is a severe, real-world case of workplace harassment by a very powerful superior spouse. On one side, you have Potiphar's wife, who looks at Joseph and blatantly demands, "Lie with me." It's aggressive and it's super entitled. But on the other side, despite the immense pressure and the obvious, literal danger of rejecting his master's wife, Joseph maintains his unwavering moral compass. He responds with, "How can I sin against God?" He doesn't just see this as, a bad career move, he views it as a profound moral failure.
Joseph's response here is an absolute masterclass in personal integrity. He tells her, "He is not greater in this house than I am, nor has he kept back anything from me, except you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Man, that is a dramatic, heartfelt refusal. He fully acknowledges his boss's total trust in him, and he flat out refuses to shatter that trust, recognizing that doing so wouldn't just be a betrayal of Potiphar, it would be a grievous sin against his Creator.
Section 3. The False Accusation. Cornered in an Empty House.
The hard truth is, doing the right thing doesn't always magically make your problems disappear. Sometimes it actually escalates them. I want you to feel the real-world nightmare Joseph is walking into. He's just trying to do his job, right? But the harasser will not let up. Walk through this timeline with me and watch how fast everything unravels. Day after day, she speaks to him, applying this continual heavy harassment, but he completely refuses to even be around her. Then one day, the perfect trap is sprung. He goes into the house to do his work, and none of the other men are there. He is entirely alone with her. In that encounter, she physically grabs him by his garment and makes her demand all over again. In that moment, Joseph makes a split-second, life-altering decision. He leaves his garment right in her hand and sprints out of the house. He flees. But unfortunately, leaving that physical evidence behind leads directly to a devastating setup.
Notice how she immediately spins the narrative to the men of her household. She says, "See, he has brought among us a Hebrew to laugh at us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice." Look at exactly what she's doing here. She weaponizes his left-behind garment as fake proof. And even worse, she weaponizes his identity. By calling him a Hebrew, she taps right into an us versus them mentality to get the household on her side. She creates this completely false, totally devastating narrative that she later repeats directly to her husband, Potiphar.
Section 4. Success behind bars, unjust termination, and prison.
So, when Potiphar hears his wife's totally fabricated story about how a servant treated her, his anger's immediately kindled. Joseph experiences the ultimate unjust termination and gets thrown directly into the king's prison. I mean, he goes from the absolute peak of the corporate ladder straight down into the darkest, most dismal pit imaginable. But notice the striking irony of Joseph's life here. Just a second ago, he was the overseer of a luxurious mansion. Now, he's locked in a dungeon. Yet, what happens? The keeper of the prison turns around and puts Joseph in charge of all the prisoners. Whatever was being done in there, he was the one doing it. The prison keeper paid no attention to anything in Joseph's charge. It's crazy. Whether he's in a luxurious corporate mansion or a dark, damp prison, Joseph behaves with such integrity and excellence that he just inevitably ends up managing the whole shebang.
And why is that? How does that happen? Because once again, the Lord was with him. We see our thematic anchor reappear in literally the darkest of places. The text says God showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. The absolutely crucial point for us to get here is that true success isn't about your geographical location. It's not about having the corner office, the fancy job title, or a huge bank account. True success is about God's presence in your life, providing favor whether you're sitting in the boardroom or stuck in the basement.
Section 5. 3 Steps for Daily Life. Applying Genesis 39 today.
We've spent some time looking at this incredible historical trial, but how does this ancient text actually apply to you tomorrow morning when you walk into your office, your school, or your home? Well, here are 3 clear, actionable steps pulled straight from Joseph's story. Number 1. Maintain integrity when no one is watching. Remember, Joseph was entirely alone in that house. He had absolute power and literally no one to report him, yet he chose character over convenience. Number 2, flee compromising situations immediately. When that trap snapped shut, Joseph didn't stick around to negotiate or argue his case. He literally ran away, even though it cost him his coat and eventually his job. Listen, sometimes the only way to win a bad situation is to physically remove yourself from it. And number 3, look for God's favor even in your prisons. When you face those unfair demotions, the unjust rumors, or just massive setbacks, don't throw in the towel. Keep working with excellence because God's presence isn't restricted by your circumstances.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. How are you going to handle your next unfair setback? Because let's be real, if you live long enough, you're going to face one. Are you going to compromise? Will you complain? Or will you maintain your integrity and trust that the Lord is with you even when you're in the pit? Think deeply about that as you go about your week. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and if you found this breakdown helpful, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.